Well, thank you for joining us today for your 5 News at Noon. I'm Morgan Wrigley here with the newest member of our weather team, Joshua Wisel. Welcome to 5 News at Noon.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here on air at 5 News and get started here with my first show.
I'm excited to be your first anchor to work with, and you'll see him on your weekend mornings and a few days a week here at noon.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and you definitely have hit the ground running. There was a big weather event right after he started. This week, not as much to talk about, right?
Yeah, and we had a lot of excitement last week. I'm definitely excited to be here, but if you take a look outside, you'll notice there's one thing in common. There's not a whole lot of exciting activity in the sky. It's just blue skies, above average temperatures for this time of year. So it is a beautiful start to the day. It's going to continue to be that way as we head into the rest of the day. It's going to be beautiful. Those temperatures are going to be warming up. It's going to be pleasant to be outside. Here's a look at those temperatures across the region. And you can see in northwest Arkansas and in the River Valley, we're generally around the lower 50s right now. Some areas are getting close to 60 near Waldron. Here's a look at outside of those main cities, and you can see generally around upper 40s, lower 50s into the mid 50s across the region. So here's a look at the headlines. Like I said, not a whole lot going on right now, but we're going to start to warm up, and then it's going to be a roller coaster. There's a chance for maybe a couple flurries here and there over the next several days, and then another Arctic blast bringing us some more frigid temperatures. So stick around. I'll have more on that coming up in just a little bit.
Well, stepping outside now, here's a live look from the Marshals Museum in Fort Smith. And Joshua, in the shade, there's still a little bit of snow out there, but for the most part, it's all gone now.
Yeah, and when I was driving here to work, I was looking at some parking lots with shade and some sidewalks, and I noticed that there was still some patchy ice here and there. So keep in mind, in the shaded areas or some hills, there could still be some ice, but hopefully that starts to melt away today because the high temperatures are going to be in the mid to upper 50s across northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. So hopefully that'll melt off any remaining amounts of ice across the area. So let's take a look at the wind gusts today and the temperature in the forecast. You can see some gusts today. They could be up to 15 miles an hour, but generally speaking, it'll start to calm down once we make our way into the evening. But there is going to be a little bit of wind here and there, between 5 to 15 off and on throughout the day. River Valley's no different. Some gusts start to pick up by mid-afternoon, but not by much. We're not talking any sort of dramatic wind or anything like that. Morning lows tomorrow morning, when you start off the morning, it's going to be right around the mid to upper 30s in northwest Arkansas. River Valley could be near freezing or below freezing near Clarksville, and then mid 30s in the further portions of the River Valley. Here's a look at the Futurecast radar, and around noon tomorrow, can't rule out maybe a couple of spotty showers here and there, but as we make our way further to the east into the afternoon with this system, notice a little bit more rain coverage could be possible in the afternoon, and that'll continue to the evening. Once that pushes out by late Friday, as you can see over my head at around 11:30, starts to clear out, but mid-afternoon tomorrow into the late evening, there could be a couple of flurries across northwest Arkansas, so it wouldn't surprise me if we see that activity later in the afternoon and into the evening as well. So once that starts to push out, clear on Sunday, and then once we make it into Monday, there's another system moving in, but that looks to be going to our south. So that's what we're going to be looking at there. So here's a look at the impact that we're looking at as we head into the weekend. Overall, Saturday through Wednesday, it's going to be cold. We have pipe bursting cold on the way with this Arctic system. So keep in mind, you're going to want to protect your pets, you're going to want to protect yourself, and you're going to want to protect pipes with this type of cold because over the next several days, it's going to be cold. Notice those wind chills go from the 20s to the single digit by Sunday morning, Monday morning. It's going to continue to be cold as we head into the next several days. So here's a look at the 7-day forecast. And as you can see, it's going to be a cold one for the foreseeable future. For Martin Luther King Jr. Day, it is going to be chilly with those wind chills potentially in the single digits, maybe even into the negative range. Same for the River Valley. It's going to be cold. So not a whole lot of excitement. It doesn't look like a big snowfall event with this system, but we're going to be watching. There could be a couple flurries here and there, and definitely it's going to be frigid. So keep that in mind. Keep that winter weather accessories out.
We're definitely enjoying this warmer week before those cold temperatures. So since this is your on-air debut, let's talk a little bit more about you. So you graduated from the University of Arkansas. You covered the weather there a little bit. What made you want to get involved in covering weather?
So when I was little, I actually used to be terrified of storms, and then I kind of saw a couple severe weather events in my portion of town in DFW where I'm originally from, And I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. I want to start researching that. So that became a passion, and I want to be able to relay helpful weather information to anyone with that kind of fear so that they can, not be as scared as the weather and hopefully end up like me in broadcasting someday.
Awesome. Well, we're so happy that you're here, and I'm happy that you're here at noon today.
I'm grateful to be here, so thank you all for watching my first show.
All right. Well, coming up next, scientists are using virtual reality to learn more about mice.
Well, here's a final look at your forecast, and like I said, it's just going to be cold. Not a whole lot of interesting information other than it's going to be frigid the next several days in Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley, so keep those coats out because it is going to be very, very cold, especially with those wind chills in the single digits. Now,
yeah,
I'm a fan of cold weather, but I can't stand that.
No, and you said you were originally from Texas, right? So you're used to cold temperatures, seasonably, I guess, but this is just, no one can appreciate those when the temperature are actually single digits, not even the wind chill.
Oh, absolutely. There's no getting used to that when you're starting to get into those single digits. So we're just gonna have to get through it, get those coats out, and hope for the warm up after that. So.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you can't promise any snow with those cold temperatures because sometimes when it's going to be that cold, you want there to be snow. You want it to make it worth it, but that's not looking like it's a huge chance on Monday, right?
Unfortunately, it looks just like flurries. So if we see anything, you'll probably see it in the sky, but there's not going to be a whole lot on the ground. So it's not going to be any one of those great snow events with the mix of cold temperatures. So.
Well, that's okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today for your 5 News at Noon. We hope you'll join us later this afternoon as well for your 5 News First at 4. Have a great afternoon.